Yep, right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, dear listeners. This is episode 118 of the Devon Dice Podcast. 19 are our favourite games then. Hi, I'm Joel, your host of the podcast, and joining me tonight is Sam.
Yo.
Nick.
Hello.
And Claire.
Hello.
Right, guys. So, yes, we are doing not our top 10. I shouldn't have clapped then. Not our top 10 as last time, because that was horrendously long.
That took a little while, didn't it?
But a top 5, maybe a few little tweaks. But of the year 19, it wasn't so hard this year of picking our favourites, I don't think. Because it wasn't as good as 2014, but it's still, I think it's quite a good year. There's some highlights definitely coming out.
Yeah, some good stuff.
So, and it was, it's a good game, good year for games. So, I'm going to start off. I'm actually going to start off with a little caveat. I'm actually doing number 6, and the reason I'm putting this in because it's a game I've had from Kickstarter since it came out in their first edition and not actually played it, and I really should play it because it sounds really cool, and I don't know why I've not played it yet, and it's Quodd Heroes. It's
the
still
little cube-shaped things, yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
and it's got this unique mechanic called the tumble mechanic. So depending, you got basically these cube miniatures of different, creatures from this world where everything's cubed, and it's a puzzle game. It's you're trying to move around this grid land, and the only way you can move is basically tumbling, and depending on which side is up depends how then your actions play out. So you've got to do a lot of planning. It's kind of programming, but you've got to try and work out which way your cube is going to move and things like that, and it sounds complex. I really should get it to the table and just give it a try, but it's been one of those things. It's just got left on the shelf because it's like, I still need to learn this, or I still need to paint them because they just come as the colour of the plastic. So, and I think it would help that they were painted. So I do need to get onto that. So that's why it's my number 6. And we also had the designer on the podcast talking about this. So. Yeah, it should get a mention. So
we should try it at some point. Yeah, I'm up for trying.
Definitely. So my number 5 is Marvel Champions, the card game. I've only played this a few times. I've only really got the core deck. I actually have only picked up my favourite character, Gambit, and Rogue, which is Claire's. We still need to play those characters, but and I've only played this solo. But it's a great card game. It's Marvel, so it's always going to get a mention. If I can fit Marvel into the top whatever.
Got to get it somewhere.
Yeah, so,
it's going to be the new Clank, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's on its way out. I mean, they've made so much to it. It's unwieldy, but I'm just happy with what I've got, and probably just stick with that. Yeah, maybe in the future if there's really cheap characters on the market, I might pick them up. But I think it's great for what it was and what they did with it. So that's really all I can say for it. Each character is unique, has unique abilities, does different things. So that's it. Marvel Champions.
Yeah, it's one I wanted to try it because it's had a lot of buzz since it came out. I just haven't had the opportunity, but we're up for trying that at some point.
Yeah.
Another for Devon Dice Con. There we go.
Definitely. Nick, your number 5.
So my number 5, I rejigged this around a bit because I wanted to get this one in because it's a party game. I don't usually recommend party games. This is Lesser Jam. So this is a cooperative word game. It says cooperative, but it's not really. I don't think it's cooperative, is it? You are trying to deduce what word the person next to you has given you, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And you're doing that so you have the letters. Is it 5 letters, I think? And they
4.
all face down in front of you, and or 4 letters. You're trying to deduce what they are, because what you do is you pick one of those face down cards and you'll put them in little standees facing away from you, so you can see everyone else's letters but you can't see yours, and then the person whose turn it is will pick a word that they can make out of some of those letters, maybe all of them, and then they will assign chips to which order they are in the word. And so you're trying to work out what you think that word might be, because you can't see your letter, and you've got a little paper notepad where you can write down your ideas and your guesses, and you're going round each turn doing that a number of times, and then hopefully by the end of all the rounds you have had enough information to work out what what each of your card's letters actually is, and then you're revealing it, and then you're trying to work out what the word is from the letters you've determined. And I've played it a few times. I've had great fun every time I played it. It's better with more people, I think. It's just more interactive. I've played it with 3 and I've played it with 5, and it was much better at 5 than at 3. But yeah, it was a really good one. This is a CGE, Games Editions publication, and the designer was Ondra Scoopy, who I don't know what else have they done, because I don't know. No, nothing else. Letter Jam and Letter Jam bonus chip number 9. Apparently it's all that they've designed. But yeah, it's a really nice party-esque. It's not really a party game, but it feels like a party game when you're playing it. But it is effectively, it's a word deduction game. Yeah. And Claire, you've played it recently.
Yes, we played
both did,
yeah, we both played it at the
weekend.
At the gaming weekend.
Yeah.
It was hard work.
It's not dyslexic friendly. I can tell you that.
Yeah. We definitely had a few people that really struggled with it.
Yeah, and that's not just me. There's one guy really struggled it, and you could see it on his face that he just wasn't getting it, and he also just didn't understand. Like he was just struggling with the wording. There's also a weird like sequencing of how you play your turns, isn't it? So there's some kind of flower thing in the middle of the table, which we weren't actually playing to how it was meant to be played out. We were just kind of who's got a word? Anyone put a word in? So it was usually the same few people that were putting a word in.
At one point, there was a lot of quite a few of us all had the same letter.
Yes.
And it was all and that made it really tricky. And so actually, for my letters, I had very few opportunities to actually guess what letters I had. And one of the reasons was because I was one of the ones that had the same letter as everybody else. And they were using other people's letter and not my letter. Yeah. And so that made it... So I was really... I think by the time we got to the end, I think I'd only figured out 2 letters. Yeah, I'd only managed to figure out two of my letters.
And it kind of got given away because I changed my letter up, and then it basically put up this same letter, and they were like, oh, well, this is going to be difficult. Now we've all got a lot of the same letters. I was like, okay, what is there a lot? Okay, so I think I know what my letter is now, kind of thing. And then it was so funny when I actually guessed that out, and I brought up my next letter. One of the guys, he's I don't know what he was thinking, but he says, so, what did he say? Something. So he gave away my letter again because he said something like, "Let's try not using a word with Y in it." And I was like, "Well, there's no other Y's around the table." Oh, so my letter must be Y then.
Oh no!
Yeah, they actually changed that out because he gave it away. They changed my word. So but even that, I thought I had one word, and if you get one letter wrong, it was just like, it doesn't make sense. But it was fun. It was just, as I said, it wasn't. If you got problems with spelling and understanding words,
it's not the best.
That, it's not friendly for us.
Have trouble.
Yeah.
You have to be able to be able to do anagrams and things in your head.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So,
and even when people spell things out to me, like when we were saying, shall we take the dog for WALK? And I was like, what? Oh,
Wackle.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we could do. Takes me a while to think of it, but so Anyway, so yeah, it's good for what it does.
Indeed.
It's good if it's your kind of game.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. If you like word games, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah, so keeping the party game theme going, my number 5 is Blockbuster, which is the party game from Big Potato Games, which is normally Big Potato stuff is it's fairly chuck away, but Blockbuster's one that sort of stuck around quite a lot for me. Partly nostalgia because it's a Blockbuster. The box is a Blockbuster video cassette.
A video rental.
Case, which everything packs into this video case, which is quite cool. Just from a presentational point of view, it's fun. But actually, the game is actually very good. So you play in teams, and it's done over 2 rounds. The first round is a kind of quick fire. The teams are nominate one person to give clues, to take part in this one round. And there's a buzzer, electronic countdown buzzer thing, and you're given a theme, so it might be movies with dogs in or something. And each person in the team that's nominated has to sort of name a movie and then hit the buzzer, and that starts a countdown of I think 10 or 15 seconds for the other person to then come up with another movie, and you keep going until someone can't name a movie in that range. That then decides the round, the start order for the next round. So if you win that round, you draw 6 cards, which will all be movie titles. You pick 3 for yourself and give the other 3 to your opponent. And then you place those 3 cards face down on slots on this board, and one of them will be quote it, one of them is act it, and one of them is one word. So with the act it, you have to sort of act a scene from the movie to give away what the title is. The quote it, you have to give a quote from the movie, and it does say in the rulebook you don't have to be verbatim. It can be, you can, if you don't know a quote, you can kind of make up one that's close. And the one word, you just give one word. So if it's Jaws, you might say shark, that kind of thing. Really, really quick and easy to explain, and just a lot of fun when you're playing in a decent sized group, especially if you're having a few drinks as well. It's just an easy way to spend an hour or so. It could be less, could be more. Just kind of going through movies and just having a laugh. It's routinely quite fun.
Yeah, it looks like an evolution on Balderdash.
Yeah, it's kind of like Big Potatoes.
Kind of mixed with,
Big Potatoes specialise in taking a game that's kind of a bit more involved and a bit more established, and then just quite kind of like cutting away the fat to kind of come up with the core experience to some degree. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But Blockbuster certainly works in that regard for me. It's almost charades, but not quite, and it's almost lots of things. But it's the nostalgia factor and the fact that I'm a movie fan. Just really, and most people like movies, so you're going to have a chance. It's very good.
What's quite bizarre on the credits on Board Game Geek is there's no designer listed. It has a developer listed, but not a designer, which is very odd. So apparently it wasn't designed; it was just developed out of the ether.
Just going to check something.
Yeah, looks a lot of fun.
I'm guessing it's just one of the things that they maybe came up with in the office.
It'll be like it'll be an internal development. Yeah, from Big Potato. Yeah, looks cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
It sounds fun.
So Claire's number 5 is.
You've just moved it. It's a Wonderful World, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. Just trying to bring it up.
I have not played this game for a long time, so I've honestly forgotten what you do.
So
it's like a recipe for film.
It's a drafting game. So you have a hand of cards like 7 Wonders, and you'll draft out one card, and you put it in your play area, and then you'll pass the rest of the cards on. And what you're trying to do is develop a empire that's producing resources, which is all these along the top here. And as you get those, they actually help you build more cards, because you need these resources down the side of the card to build. Yeah. And it is as simple as, get cards, use them for either buildings or recycling to gain the resources in the corner to help you build buildings, and then you're just trying to build up this tableau. So when it comes to production, after you drafted all your cards, you'll get the resources to help build more cards. Remember?
No.
She's just going from the box art.
But she has played it.
I have. I've definitely played it, probably a couple of times, but it was a while ago. I don't remember when it was.
The last time we played it was with Nigel and Karen. So
how long ago?
Last year sometime.
Oh, I played it last year.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah. So.
Oh dear, my memory's amazing.
It's a fun one. Joel and I just finished a game of the sequel, the It's a Wonderful Kingdom, on Board Game Arena.
We have.
Okay.
Which is like the two-player
version of it, which actually
2-player only one.
Yeah,
it worked fine. It was like it uses I Split You Choose instead of drafting, which I thought worked fine. It was interesting. The plagues were quite fun. I ended up with a lot of rats.
Plagues screwed me. I didn't realise what they did. They literally locked down
Especially
a
the big
building.
rats that spawn more rats.
Yeah, they can't do anything until you've got rid of the plague off of it. And I was just like, oh, for crying out loud. So that's why we're playing it again. So now I know what's going on. So look,
I do recognise it. I recognise the artwork and the cards and things, but other than that, which is why it's at my number 5, because it's not one that I went, oh yeah, but I think I did enjoy it. I just don't remember it.
And getting the little tokens of it.
I get that as well, because I've played it a few times and it's kind of forgettable. It's perfectly nice when you're playing it. It's very mechanically, it's very smooth. It's fun to build up your production and get the cards, but then you finish the game and you go, oh, that was quite nice, and then it's kind of almost forgettable after that. But it's very functional and very.
What I really would like to do, because
does what it says on the tin. There's
a campaign that I got with this, because I did a review on it. I got sent sent a copy, and I got everything. And there's a campaign where you play it. It's almost Legacy. It's not Legacy, but it changes up and you add stuff in. I really would like to get that played, and I was hoping Nigel and Karen would like it. That enough they would actually, we could play a few games of this, and it does different things each time. So, but maybe I'll try it again with them and see if they're interested in campaigning it. But so that's Claire's number 5. It's a Wonderful World. Claire's number 4 is further up someone else's chart. So, number 4's is really entertaining.
Everybody's number 4 is someone higher on someone else's chart. I love it.
This is how good the year is. So we go to Sam's is higher, Nick's is higher, mine is higher. My number 3.
And then we get to number 3,
which is mine higher. Is also higher.
Is equal.
Well, yeah.
Actually, yours and Claire's is the same.
We
so you can discuss it now.
Yeah. So me and Claire picked the same one. We played it together. It's called Horrified. So Horrified is based on like the B movie horror movies. B movie horror movies. Or even based on the old books from Mary. Is it Mary?
Mary Shelley?
Yeah. So we got Frankenstein, Dracula's Bride, Swamp Thing, or the monster from the
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
That's it. And it's a cooperative, and you're basically. Are you the monsters or are you the people? I think you're the monsters.
You're trying to stop the monsters, according to BGG's summary.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not.
I completely forgot. Yeah. So you're basically trying to stop the monsters achieving their goals and things like that. So you're trying to work together, and you're moving around this map, and the monsters are moving around this map, and it's quite good because it can mix it up. You can have different monsters in it, so they all do different things. They've all got their own achievements to do to win the game, and you're just trying to prevent that from happening. It's really cool. I quite like it. The theming's great. They did bring out a sequel, which is like kind of American B movie,
monsters, and Greek monsters.
So, and then someone's also done their own fan made one from. like modern day horror movies. So they got like Chucky,
right?
Not Edward Scissorhands. What's the other one guy with knives on his fingers? Elm Street guy.
Freddy Krueger.
That's it. So yeah, there's a lot of it. I was hoping that one's going to come out, but maybe they can't get the rights to it all. So, but yeah, it's a great little cooperative game. We haven't played it for a while, but it's still on the shelf. It's there. So it's one. It is surviving the coal at the minute.
It's one that I actually remember as well. So it is a good game.
Yeah,
because I actually remember it.
when I showed you a picture, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's good, that game. I enjoy
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So that's it. Someone's done a Stranger Things edition.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
So yeah, that's our number 3, which is Horrified.
Cool. My number 3 is Glen More Chronicles 2, or Glen More II Chronicles, which we all around that. This is a small caveat that I did work on the solo mode for this with Ultima Factory, but not on the main game design. So this is a design by Matthias Kramer, which is a sequel to his original Glen More, which came out quite some time before that. It's an evolution of the original Glen More, which was a classic tile laying game, and the Glen More II Chronicles adds a lot more to it. It somewhat streamlines and simplifies the original Glen More rules. So with the original Glen More, you had the tableau you're building out in front of you has to have a river going across the middle and a road going up the middle, and then everything has to be adjacent to where your people are, so you have to move them in the right position to lay the next tiles. The Glen More II takes out that road, so you only have the river, and the part of that's kind of ready for you. And it adds just more to it, and it adds 8 different Chronicle kind of like modules that you can add in, which can be mixed and matched to some extent. And they're really quite unique, each one. They add a lot of different things for each one. And it's a very, very nice production as well. So this was, I think, one of the first ones that Funtail Games did. They haven't done a lot of productions, but they really put a lot into the production for this. They did Blood on the Clock Tower, actually. That was another one they did.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a really good production, and it's the classic Glen More design, just streamlined, and I really, really enjoy it. The very satisfying way that you're building your tableau. Each of the tiles generates points or resources, and the resources help you build other tiles. Some of them give you characters that you can kind of unlock on this path that you're journeying on a separate board, which also give you abilities. They'll give you money. There's a little marketplace where you can exchange resources. Lots of little animeople as well. You've got little sheep and cows and things. It's a lot of fun. It bizarrely does feel like you're in the Scottish Highlands, with all of your meeple are little Scottish people with kilts and things. And the artwork is very beautiful. It's really nice artwork on all the tiles. They've got some of the classic castles. They've got a lot of the locks, like Loch Ness. And the modules just give it that extra variability. You've got the Loch Ness Monster as one of the modules as well. He comes and sits on things. With a little Loch Ness Monster miniature as well, which is a little wooden Loch Ness Monster meeple.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. But yeah, lovely game, lovely production. Really nice. Yep. One for the list. Devon Dice gone, which is going to be like 2 weeks long at this rate.
Yeah, at this rate. Sam's bringing dinos to the top 5.
So mine is Dinogenics, which is a popular Kickstarter from 2019, well 2018 I guess, and I think it's still pretty much the only game that's been published by these guys. But it's essentially a good old-fashioned worker placement game where you are sending your dudes out to spots on the map to do certain actions, whether it be to build fences in your park or to get dino DNA cards or various other things which I can't even remember off the top of my head now. And the thing that stands out for it is it's just really cool looking with your different sort of wooden dino meeples as you're sort of collecting these dino DNA cards and then cashing them in to turn them into actual living dinosaurs, which you then put into your park. Certain dinosaurs can only live in certain conditions, so they need minimum sort of size pens. A bit like Zuli sort of style. You've got like the predator dinosaurs that have to live on their own, and you've got the herbivore dinosaurs which can live together, that kind of stuff. It's just really, really nice. There's a kind of rolling threat mechanic of there being, if you don't fulfill the minimum requirements for containment for your dinosaurs, then you could risk having a breakout, which would then have a sort of chain reaction effect, which might kill visitors and things. I'll be honest, if you're playing it properly, that never really happens, although I've heard that one of the things you can do is to kind of, you're not meant to play safe necessarily, you're meant to sort of take the risk a little bit to try and maximise the profit that you get, i.e. maximise the number of guests that you have, to be able to profit the best. I haven't played that way. I think I'm naturally inclined to being risk averse, so maybe I ought to try, but I haven't yet. But no, it's just a really good thematic worker placement game in the classic mould, and it's always popular whenever I play it. So yeah,
it looks really nice. It's a really nice production.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you got little goat meeple, which I assume are ones that you feed to the dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of the worker spots to sort of go. You can get like one of the buildings you can get is a goat farm, which you have to put as a tile on your park. So it has to it takes up space in your park, but it can basically you farm goats from it, so you always have goats to feed to your
farm
dinosaurs.
Goats to feed the dinosaurs. It's so good.
It's very good. It's thematically it works really well. And it looks
a lot of fun. Yeah.
I have got the Controlled Chaos expansion, but I've still not played with it yet. But I've heard it kind of just adds a bit too much complexity, so it was more of a completionist kind of thing. But the base game on its own is perfectly good.
Cool.
And some do say this is a dinosaur island killer.
Yeah, I mean, we've played your copy. I remember I got this. I think we played Dinosaur Island, your copy of Dinosaur Island, before I got Dinogenics. Not long before I got Dinogenics. And I remember thinking Dinosaur Island was it's fun. It was fun. It was good. But it felt like it was more like you're the boffins in the science room a little bit more, or the business side of things, and you're not really doing much in terms of like the park itself. Whereas this feels like it's a bit of both a little bit. It's like you're park managing, but you're also having to be careful about where you're placing your animals within the park. So it's kind of a bit of best of both worlds. And certainly from a thematic point of view, I think Dinogenics does a better job of being the Jurassic World board game, essentially, than Dinosaur Island does. But it's a bit simpler as well as a result. So, yeah. It's good. I'd recommend it to Dino fans.
Very nice.
Yeah, again, still need to play it.
Ooh.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna have to try that. It looks so good.
I'm gonna set up a Google Doc sheet for Devon.
Well, we're going to need that, aren't we?
All the games we need.
we need a geek list on the. Well,
yeah. Okay.
Nick, get onto that.
Geek list games we'd like to play at Mythical Devon Dice Con. So good.
So Claire's number 2. Oh, just woken her up. She's back. I'm kidding.
I'm awake.
Number 2 is the same as mine and Nick's number 4, which is
correct. Taverns
of Tiefenthal.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that last one.
Oh, I don't know how I got that right. So this is, we actually mentioned,
which is a real place in Germany as well.
It is. We mentioned this in the last podcast, as Nick said he played with all the expansions.
Oh yeah, turn them all on. It's great.
Yeah, it's a great little. It's a combination of both deck building and dice placement. Yep. And I think it was also the very first game that introduced this kind of putting a jigsaw puzzle together before you play a game, because you've got to build. You've got to build a tavern.
Your board is a
got all
jigsaw tavern.
Yeah. But yeah, it's. As soon as I played it, and I was like, "Oh, this is brilliant! I love this concept of getting your guests in, and then making sure your tavern's working quite well, and putting the dice in the right place, or hoping you're going to get the right dice and have enough beer and things like that. And even just the basics, okay, with the beginning bit, but then you start adding in all the modules, and yeah, and then it really starts up in the ante. And I really do like the bit at the bottom. I can't think what it is now. The barman, where you got the cube moving around every time. I can't think what that bit is now. Nick, you there?
Yeah, say that again. I missed your question.
The bit at the bottom with the
little cube.
Yeah, the little cube.
Oh yeah, it's your little barman. It's your reputation
That's
marker.
It.
So every time you produce beer and coins, whichever is the lowest value, you move the token around and you that track, and it gives you little bonuses as you go around.
Yeah.
Which encourages you to try and balance the money and the beer income to be almost similar, so you're always getting a decent boost on it.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's like 5 modules in it, and each one adds something different. Like there's a startup for each player. You can pick how you start. There's the guest book, which is quite a nice little touch. So depending what guest you
little signatures,
little guest you get in, you can then put it into your guest book, and which is like a row and column filler.
There's
and you
some
get
quite
extra.
funny names in that. If you can manage to read them as well, they are quite good.
Yes, all the signatures.
Yeah,
I reckon there must be some of the production crew in there as well.
Probably.
yeah.
So yeah,
they're fun.
Great little game. Alexander Pfister, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. I like his stuff. So
we've played it quite a lot as well.
We have.
Actually.
It is like when Nigel and Karen come around, it is one of their go-to games. It's like, I don't want to learn anything new. All right, get Taverns out then, fine. So,
and it's always fun to play as well, so it's always good.
Trouble is, my version's all German, where Nigel's got...
mine is as well. Yeah, I got a German version.
So
with printed English rules.
I might, after talking about it last podcast, I might say to Nigel, bring in his copy round, because it's all in English. Playing it again.
Yeah.
That's the trouble. Like it's all language independent until you get to the expansion, where one of the expansions it's like either written in English or German, and mine's all written in German. So yeah,
I don't think you need to read the text. But it is on the cards. I think, isn't it, some of them.
Yeah. But yeah,
so you kind of want to see them. Yeah, it's a good one.
Nice
choice.
Game. Sam's is further up, and so is mine.
Yep,
too popular.
So for number
but mine
2.
isn't. So my number 2. So my number 2 is Scout, which is the Oink game trick-taking card shedding game from 2019. This is designed by Kai Kajino. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And this was very, very popular when it came out. It got a Spiel des Jahres nomination, I think. I seem to remember. Yeah, so it was a 2022 Spiel des Jahres nominee. And this is a little tiny box, as Oink games always do. It's a small box game, which is just a small deck of cards with a few tokens. And the idea of the game is you have the cards have 2 numbers on, one on each side, ranging from 1 to 10. And you all got a hand of cards, and you are playing a game where you're trying to get rid of your cards as fast as possible. And you can do that by playing numbers or sets of numbers, which are either all the same or sequential. But the key is that once you've received your hand, you have one choice to which way round you want to hold it, upside down or not, depending on which numbers you want to have. And then that order is then fixed. You can't rearrange the cards in your hand. And so you are trying to strategically play cards out of your hand to then help what's left group up, because that's the only opportunity really to get the right groups you want. And you want to try and play as high a set as you want to, as many cards as you can, because then the next player has to play a higher value or a higher set. And it goes round until if they can't play a high set, then they get to scout from your hand. They get to, whatever you've played, they get to take one of the cards on either end, and then they get to put it anywhere in their hand, anyway round, which is another way to help build your hand up. But then if they take from your set, you get a point. And if it gets all the way back to you and everyone's had to scout and not play something, then you win the round and they all lose points. There is also a scout and show token where you can scout a card and immediately play another set to help you stay in. And it is very, very interactive. It's very, very clever in that you're trying to form these sets in your hand. But you're aware of what other people have and how many cards they have left, and so then you're saying, well, I can't do it. I could take a card now to just improve my hand for later, but that means that the next person may not be able to play, and then that person will then win the round. So maybe I'll have to play something which I don't really want to play now because I've got a better set I could do, but I have to do that so that this person won't win. So it gets back round. It gets really interesting, the kind of the psychology and the metagaming of that. But it's also so simple as well to play. It takes 15 minutes maybe for 2 to 3 players, maybe half an hour, 4 to 5, because you play a number of rounds equal to the number of players. So 5 players is a lot longer, but it doesn't really feel long. And you play, I think, however many rounds you play, you just score up, and whoever has the most points is the winner. It's really nice, nice, simple, but very clever card shedding game. And I think the clever bit is the fact you can take a card from another person's set that they played, and they get a point for you doing that. But it means that you keep the round going. So it's not just like card shedding games or ladder climbing where you have to keep playing a higher value and then it's out. There's ways to mitigate that and keep it going. The double-sided cards, I don't know how relevant the double-sided cards are, but it does give you more flexibility when you scout as to how to form the sets. I think that's probably why they did it. But yeah, lovely production. They did put on some kind of attempt at theme on it, like a circus theme, where all the cards have little symbols and names of circus acts. Has nothing to do with the game whatsoever. It's just on there for the thematics. You don't need to have the theme at all. The original publication wasn't themed at all. But other than that weird theming, really lovely game.
This is also Sam's number 4, if it wasn't mentioned before. I played it quite a few times when it first came out and completely forgot, actually. This was 2019. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It is just a bit frustrating when your cards are locked in place, and it's just like, I just need, if this card was just slightly in a different order, it would have been great. And I always thought maybe it needed a house.
It's a game of luck
kind of thing of just one card movement just to up the odds a bit.
I mean, that's kind of the mitigation at the beginning where you can pick which way round, but there's not much you can do if you have a really bad hand. And that's why you play multiple hands, to try and even out that luck of the draw.
Any thoughts, Sam?
No, nothing that hasn't been said already. It's just a really fun, easy, quick game that we play. It's become like one of the fillers of choice because it plays up to 6 really easily. Yeah. And it's got that nice kind of not take that, but it's got that kind of I don't know, like someone does something that knackers your turn, and you're like, you didn't, you did, or you can do the
you're really keen. You've got I've got 4 in a row here, and someone goes, there's 5, and you go, well, that's it. I can't do that. I can't be that.
But it's so quick and easy that it's over. The round's over, and you start again, or you start a whole new round, and it's just really clever, simple. Like we said before, I like a trick takey / card shedding sort of game that has a novel twist. That just works really well. And obviously, this is a kind of a playoff. There is I can't remember if you said it. Sorry, Nick. There's another game that's very similar, like a German one.
Hatchy Train.
Yeah. Which is kind of the same sort of thing. And I know that one of our guys on our regular nights kind of prefers the German version, but actually Scout I just think looks really nice because it's got that typical oink kind of presentation and easiness to it that I like. But it's just really good.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be in my top 10. So we're down to our number 1s, and I think we just need to get Claire's number 1 out of the way with, because it'll
take a long time. Because it's on yours and Sam's number 2.
Yeah, and I think people will be surprised, like me and Sam haven't put this as number 1.
Yes, that's true.
But we will come to it.
But yeah, so I think we need to get Claire's out of the way with, because it's going to be quite obvious what it's going to be. And it's probably the one that she's most recently played out of it all.
Yeah, so my number 1 is Clank Legacy, which Joel and I played as 2-player legacy game. I really enjoyed. Typical kind of... It's your typical Clank play, but as a legacy game. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you get, which we haven't done yet, we need to do that, another one to do. But you basically get your own board, so you can replay it as your own Clank game, which is quite clever.
Yep.
Yeah. And what comes, I think the story is great. I think what it reminds me of, Nick, to help you relate to it, is basically like Star Trek Lower Decks kind of humour.
I love it.
Like that. So,
well, it's got, because one of the publishers listed is Penny Arcade, and it feels like that kind of comic style.
Yeah,
looking at it,
it is, and it's taken what they built of the Acquisitions Incorporated and just integrated it into this. And like, if you don't know it, it doesn't matter. It's a great story. You start from the beginning. You build a character. There's lots of twists. There's lots of turns. You sometimes you just don't expect something. And yeah, it's just fun. Just constantly, as I said, you're always like reading something or putting new stickers in or getting new cards throughout each game. And just thoroughly enjoyed it, and so looking forward to number 2. So,
and it worked well as a 2-player.
Yeah, definitely. It's fine.
That's cool.
You don't unlock. I don't think you unlock as much if you play 4-player.
Right.
So, which I have got a game that's another copy that's 2 games in 4-player, but right. See,
but it's kind of part of the charm of it as well, is that you do end up with that like fully replayable, or not replayable, fully playable Clank version at the end that's uniquely yours. And I think the difference between, say, your 2-player board and my 4-player board would be quite interesting to see.
Definitely,
because it's. And I don't think unlocking everything is necessarily the be all end all. Like, obviously, being a legacy game, you kind of want to find everything there is to find and resolve every sort of potential encounter and things. But there's things we didn't do in ours, and we tried to do pretty much everything. But you do. Yeah. By not so much by necessity, but by the nature of it, you do end up just following a certain narrative path, and it resolves itself in a certain way, and that's kind of like the charm of it a little bit. In terms of the board movement, you're deliberately kind of in certain parts of the game where you're deliberately going to undiscovered spots to try and find what's there, essentially, which is kind of part of but the game, by part of its narrative, it's forcing you to do that anyway, so it never feels like it's an artificial choice to do it, which is what's really good.
Definitely. So yeah, that's Claire's number 1, and mine and Sam's number 2.
But the reason for my number 2, for being number 2, despite the fact it being Clank, is purely because it is a legacy game. I think it was essentially one and done. So it's still sat on my shelf. I could potentially play it, but I haven't done. So therefore, it's by sheer play count alone, it has to be the second choice, even though it's probably my favourite. I would say it's. I don't know. We'll come to our number 1s in a minute. Discuss it.
Well, I mean, I'll go into my number 1, and this is I stuck with this as number 1 because if you listen to the last top 10 podcast we did, at the very end of it, someone gave me this idea. I left a good 10-minute gap of nothing, and then a little outtake from Lewis, because he suddenly just jumps in before we about to start podcast going, "Oh my God, have you seen Joel's number 1 for 2019? Can't believe that." So it was like, dun dun dun. I thought, I've got to leave it. Like
yay, that.
Cliffhanger. And then it was locked in. I can't move it. So maybe Clank Legacy might have been number 1, but I've stuck with how it is. So my number 1 is Tapestry. I love this game.
And this was Claire's number 4, and technically my number 10, but we didn't get that far.
And technically you worked on the solo version of this.
I did.
I play this all the time. I've got at least one game going on it on Board Game Arena. I do okay sometimes. Admittedly, I've got my best score on Board Game Arena ever. That was in the 400s.
Nice.
But I do this,
very good.
and I really want to get back and playing the real game, because I've got the new expansion, and it's like fun civs that look great to play. So So yeah, even though we played it last year at the North Devon gaming weekend, and Lewis absolutely hated it. Well, both Lewises absolutely hated it. I think it was the 5-player element that didn't help.
Right.
And I pretty much chucked everything in it as I could. But me and Claire's played it 2-player. It's fun. I think 3-player is its sweet spot for this. And I think it's just simple.
Yeah.
You pick either you're going to move up a track or you're going to take income. And you weigh that up and hopefully get good card draws and things like that. It's a lot of luck in it. But I don't care.
But you feel like you're achieving something, which is bizarre because you're just moving up tracks and triggering bonuses. But when you get that nice, you go up a track and you go, oh, and then I can pay this resource. I get this resource, do that, and then I pay that resource to get this bonus, which then triggers this, which then moves this, and you get this nice little chain of bonuses, which always feels satisfying. Even if it doesn't score you that many points, it's just fun to play it.
And it changes. I mean, as you play through it. Like Lewis just says, if that's then you just keep moving up the same track. And it's like, no, sometimes you can't just keep moving up the same track because you might be watching what other people are doing. It's like, oh, well, if I do this one and that gets me this, might open up this opportunity. You've got to change the way you're playing.
And you want to race for the landmarks as well, so you can't just leave other people to run up their own tracks. You some way have to fight them.
So yeah, I think it's art by Jamie Stadmar. So, Stegmaier Games and the classic, one of his best, I reckon, from him. So yeah,
very good.
And also a Stonemaier game.
Another Stonemaier.
Both Nick and Sam.
This is Sam and my number one, which is Wingspan. Take it away, Sam. You haven't spoken for a while.
Well, I mean, what needs to be said? I think everyone knows Wingspan. Some will probably complain that it's the obvious choice or blah blah blah. Everyone always says Wingspan boring, but actually you can't deny it is a fabulous game. It's really really good from a art and graphic design perspective. It plays at a really nice clip. It's got really satisfying engine building element to it, hand management element to it, resource management element to it. It's just really good. Plays really well from 2 to 5, no problem. Not played the Asian 6 and 7 player round, and from the sound of it, I'm probably better off not bothering with that. But yeah, it's just great, and it's the from an expansion point of view, all you really want is more animals. But even then, they've managed to add a couple of little extra scoring, like mechanics that make sense within the
tweak the round goals and things.
So end round goals and then end game stuff, and it all fits and works really nicely. Apparently the 2-player version with Asia is really good as well. I've not tried that either. But yeah, it's ever extendable, and all the bird art looks amazing, and I love it. So yeah, it's satisfying, really really satisfying.
They're still going as well. There's more, a couple more.
I think it's 2 more expansions. Yeah,
do you think?
Yeah, each continent's going to get its own entry. So obviously Africa is going to be presumably the next one, I would think. And then we've got South America and Antarctica probably is a combo.
Oh, you've got to get penguins in there.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe they have an Antarctica only, because that would literally just be 5 penguins. Huh?
Smallest expansion.
A whole
ever.
expansion, just 5 penguin cards. Yes.
He will do it. He will do that expansion.
Maybe you do that as a promo, just the Antarctic expansion promo. Just 5 penguins.
Well, he's also got to fill up that big nesting box of air, hasn't he? So he's got to try and warrant.
Oh, it's so big.
Warrant people buying that.
As we've discussed, it's one of my regrets getting that, because it's just too damn big and it's made it unwieldy. But at least it's all in one place now. So
indeed, yeah.
Well, it's not my favourite game. I don't even know if it would come onto my top 10. But I have ordered Wormspan. I'm willing to give that a try.
There we go.
So, yeah, hopefully.
We'll give it a go, Joel.
Hopefully we'll get it before the North Devon gaming weekend.
I'll add it to the list.
So,
cool. Yeah.
So So yeah, Sinclair's not played it at all because it's not entering my house. So.
Outrageous.
Once
more, the female side of the gender pays the price for male hubris.
She's laughing. She's right.
Don't worry, Claire. We'll play it at the next Devon Dice Con. I'll teach you.
Thank you.
I'll add to the list.
Well, I said we're getting Wormspan, and there's no difference to that. So
it depends if you like real life versus weird dragony things. It's completely up to you.
Dragons always win.
In the theatre of the mind.
So that's our top 10 games top 5 games of 2019. Hope you enjoyed the list. You'll be able to find the links for all the games we discussed in the show notes. So pop along to that if anything has grabbed your fancy. And yay, we've done a shorter podcast.
Thank God, I can go to bed.
Yay.
So it just leaves us to say good night, goodbye from everyone.
And thanks for all the fish.
Good night, all. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.
And catch you on the next podcast. So see you then. Bye, everyone.